السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي جعل للعلم أصولا وسهل بها إليه وصولا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. All praise and thanks are due to Allah, the one who made for knowledge foundations, and through them facilitated its attainment and preservation. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except for Allah alone with no partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. May the salawat and salam of Allah be upon him, his family and his companions. This is the fifth sitting in understanding a small introduction to Fiqh. And we had previously stopped at the end of the section of wiping over the socks and the start of the section regarding Ghusul. Now,
Fossil be al-Ghusul. It is the usage of water which is tahur and permissible over all of the body in a known manner. The necessitating factor of Ghusul are seven. The first, the movement of semen, even if it does not exit from the body. If the person makes ghusl for it, then it exits from the body without pleasure. The person does not need to make ghusl again. The second is exiting from the body, and pleasure is a condition for the person who is not sleeping and alive. The third, the entering of the tip of normal penis, connected to that of a male, without vibrating to a normal private part. The fourth, the Islam of a kafir, even if he was a murtad or is only mumayyiz. The fifth, the appearance of menstrual blood, dam al-hayyid. The sixth, the appearance of postnatal bleeding, dam al-nifas. It is not obligatory if birth occurs without the occurrence of this blood, nor through the passing of an alaq or mudghah, which does not resemble or have human features. The seventh, death, done so ta'abudan, other than the battlefield martyr, or the one who is killed oppressively. Its conditions are also seven. The first, the stopping of what necessitates it. The second, intention. The third, Islam. The fourth, aqd, sanity. The fifth, discernment, tamyiz. The sixth, purifying, tahur, and permissible water. The seventh, removing that which prevents the water from reaching the skin. Its obligation is one, which is mentioned in Bismillah when a person remembers this. Its essential component is also one. It is that the individual spreads the water over his whole body and the inside of his mouth and nose, and one is sufficient in isbagh.
the author, Hafidahullah, mentioned this section as being a section with regards to al-Ghusl. And he mentioned in this section a number of important points. There are 5 in total. The first of these points is clarifying what ghusl is. Clarifying what ghusl is. Ghusl is, as found in his statement, the usage of water which is tahur and permissible, mubah, all over the body in a known manner. So we see that ghusl differs from wudu in the qualification that is found all over the body. When we spoke about wudu, we said wudu is the usage of water, not all over body, but where? Upon the 4 limbs. So ghusl is different in that it is all over the body. And with regards to the statement that is found here, permissible, mubah, what was the correct opinion when we spoke about this with regards to wudu?
That even if the water wasn't necessarily permissible, that it would still not negate the wudu itself.
But?
Oh, I'm missing something.
Yeah, but?
The sin of, for example, stealing is considered as a sin.
Mm-hmm. So here the same point applies to the word permissible or mubah in the description of the water here. So like we mentioned in wudu, when we said that wudu is, and we mentioned permissible water, we said that even the more correct view is that even if the water is not permissible, the wudu will still be valid. And likewise here, the ghusl will still be valid. But the person may incur the sin of having taken the water without prior permission. The second thing that the author mentioned out of the 5 main points are the necessitating factors, i.e. those things that necessitate or make ghusl mandatory. So the necessitating factors that make ghusl mandatory. The Arabic word for the singular being mujib, or the plural mujibat. Those causes, they are those causes, those asbab, that when they are present, the servant is Islamically commanded to do ghusl. When does a person have to do ghusl? In plain English. So if one or more of these 7 things are found, the author is telling us that if one or more of these 7 things are found, then the person has to make ghusl. Okay? And he numbered them as being 7. He numbered them as being 7. The first he mentioned is the moving of semen, even if it does not come out of the person. Even if it does not come out of the person. So the person feels the semen move, even if it does not come out of the person. Now, as we mentioned at the start of these lessons, 2 points. Number 1, if you cannot understand the issue exactly, for whatever reason, then at least just understand the wording, and then if it ever happens, you will know what it means. And number 2, that we said from the etiquette of a Muslim is that he normally does not speak explicitly. He does not speak with the clear words when these words are sensitive or private issues, unless there are necessitating factors. There's the reasons that demand that. So in the sphere of learning, for example, there may be times when in the class the teacher has to be clear, but as Muslims we have to be mature. But outside the class and outside the other reasons for that type of speech to occur, then generally speaking the Muslim is not someone who speaks explicitly, i.e. with clear words about sensitive matters. So sometimes the person will feel that the semen or the water that comes out at the time of climax, he will feel that will have moved, although he may not see it exit the body. So he says, in that case, the person makes ghusl for that. And if later on he sees the semen come out of the body, then his ghusl that he made before will suffice him. So the Arabic word here being mani. Mani. This is an important word, is a key term. So that is the water that comes out at the time of climax. And in the man, it is of white color normally. The more correct view with regards to this first point is that the person does not have to make ghusl until or unless it comes out. So at this point here, the more correct view is that the person does not have to make ghusl until mani exits. And we're going to discuss that in point number 2. He says point number 2, the second of the 7 reasons why a person has to make ghusl, he says, it's exiting from the body. It's here, meaning the semen. Semen exiting from the body, i.e. from the normal place where it normally exits, and that's from the front passage. And with the exit of the semen, or it is a condition that the semen exits with pleasure, at the time of pleasure, and with force. So for example, if a person is awake and he feels pleasure and semen comes out of that person, does the person have to make ghusl? Yes. What if after he starts to make ghusl, he then notices more semen coming out, but without any pleasure? Does he have to make ghusl? No. But he would make wudu because something has come out of the tube, out of either of the private areas. So there's a difference between the water, the semen that comes out, that is a remnant from before, and the semen that comes out at the time of pleasure. So the person, for example, semen comes out of him at the time of pleasure and with the force, so he makes ghusl. Whilst he's making ghusl, he's in the shower, he's washing his body, and he finishes his ghusl, and then he noticed that some remnants, a little bit of semen comes out again. Does he have to make ghusl again? No, because he already took care of that. What if he was having the shower and then he felt pleasure again and semen came out of him again with force? Would the first ghusl in the shower that he's taken, would that be enough for him? No, because now because he came out again with pleasure. No, because one of the conditions for ghusl, like wudu, is that if he's in the middle still of having pleasure, he can't start ghusl. So if he's finished, and then it happens again with pleasure and properly, then he has to do ghusl again. But if he comes out without the pleasure, it's just remnants of the first time, then he doesn't have to do ghusl again. He has to do wudu.
You know, with the first point, the moving of semen, if that happens unconsciously, does he still have to make ghusl?
Unconsciously meaning?
He's not awake.
No. If he's not awake, he won't be able to know. Yeah? So the first one we said doesn't apply anyway, the more correct view. The second one, as he mentions here, is the person that is a condition when the semen comes out, that it is with pleasure and with force, except for the sleeping person. Except for the sleeping person or the like. The sleeping person, male or female, if he notices the water come out of him, that water came out. So for example, he wakes up and he notices in his underwear that semen came out. He's not going to remember if there was pleasure or not. So it's not a condition in that time. If he wakes up and he notices that, or she notices the water, then they have to make ghusl. So when a person is sleeping, it's not a condition that they must remember that they had pleasure. Okay. So to sum up, the exiting of semen or the like that necessitates ghusl is when it is accompanied with pleasure and it comes out with force. If a person is asleep, then that condition of pleasure and force does not apply because the person is unconscious. If they wake up and they notice that it's there, then they have to make ghusl. Clear? Okay. The third of the 7 necessitating factors for ghusl is if the tip or the head of the penis becomes hidden or enters into a private part, i.e. the tip being that part that is normally under the skin that is circumcised. If that goes into a private part to the extent that it becomes hidden, even if it doesn't go fully in, but it becomes hidden in that private part, then the person has to make ghusl, even if no semen comes out. Even if no semen comes out. So it has to be the tip, minimum, and without a barrier. i.e. there's no clothes that's stopping. The two parts meet. The fourth is if a person becomes Muslim. The fourth is if a person becomes Muslim. Murtad being somebody who left and then came back to Islam. Murtad here is someone who left and then is coming back to Islam. Or he says here, or is only mumayyiz. Mumayyiz meaning the person who has not yet reached the age of puberty. Because ghusl, yarhamukallah, ghusl is normally associated with someone who is of a certain age. Yeah. But if, for example, a young person comes and they accept Islam, then even if they have not hit puberty, then they would make ghusl. The fifth reason that the author mentions is the appearance of menstrual blood, dam al-hayd. That is the natural blood that comes out of the woman's private area at its known time, i.e. at a time that is known to the female. So normally monthly, around that time, the woman will have some blood that comes out of her area. So when that finishes, then she would make ghusl before she prays and so forth. The sixth necessitating factor for ghusl is the appearance of postnatal bleeding. I think this is what it's translated as, dam and nifas. The dam, blood, and nifas is the blood that comes out at the time of birth. But it is not obligatory if the person gives birth without the blood, as the reason for the ghusl is the blood. Then the author mentions, nor, i.e. it is not obligatory if when the person gives birth there is no blood, nor is it obligatory if the lady passes an alaq or an alaqah, i.e. an alaqah is a kind of congealed blood that is clumped up and not flowing. So if that passes through a woman, or mudghah, which is a piece of flesh, so a piece of flesh that has no clear characteristics of a fetus. Because in these instances, if a woman passes that, she does not consider herself as having given birth. So she would not have to make ghusl. Side point here, if this happens to somebody, how you address it is important. Don't say, oh, that was mudghah, is nothing. Because a person is emotional at that time. Maybe they had a miscarriage or whatever the case may be. So address it. If you have to teach someone in your family, address it in a way that is appropriate to people's, in a way that people can handle it at that time. The seventh reason for ghusl is the death of someone. And the author says here, done so ta'abbudan, i.e. the ghusl here, when someone dies, the rest of the Muslims are to wash him or her. And it is done so, this is done ta'abbudan. Ta'abbudan means that it is done although the wisdom behind it may not be perceived. This is an important point here, because you will hear sometimes scholars say that this act of worship is ta'abbudi. Some acts of worship that we do as Muslims, we may not necessarily perceive the illah, the reason behind it, behind that ruling. So if you study Usul al-Fiqh or al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyah, you will find that they will say, if the act of worship is ta'abbudi, then such and such will apply. And that means that act of worship is something, or is an act of worship that whose wisdom, or the wisdom of which is unknown to us. There's wisdom for sure, and there's a illah, there's a reason, but we don't know. Sometimes some will know and some others will not know. Sometimes none of us will know. So when a person passes away, then they are to be washed. Ghusl is to be performed for them. And then the author gave us the exceptions. The exceptions that he mentioned are other than the person who dies legitimately on a battlefield as a martyr, or the one who is killed oppressively, or the one who is killed oppressively. Does that mean that the person that falls under these two categories is not allowed to be washed? He is allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Okay. The author's statement doesn't mean that he's not allowed. So he's saying that it's not obligatory. But you may find at times that some scholars will say that it's allowed. And that's for some families. It depends on other factors, but it's not obligatory. It's not obligatory to wash them. Third thing that the author, so those were the 7 points. Third thing that the author mentions out of the 5 main points are the 7 conditions for ghusl to be valid. So we mentioned 7 reasons why a person has to make ghusl, and now we're mentioning 7 conditions. And conditions are what we mentioned them previously. What is the condition? We say shurut and the singular shart. What do we mean? There, yes? No,
Without it, it can't be present. You have to.
There are descriptions that are not part of that thing, but without which that thing cannot be present. Without which the thing cannot be present. So whatever is a condition for cannot be present. And they are also 7 in number. The first, the author says, whatever stops or stopping whatever necessitates it. This is what we were mentioning before. So if, for example, a woman is going through her monthly cycle, she cannot make ghusl before she stopped. Once she's clean from her monthly cycle, she stopped it, the body has stopped, then she may ghusl. Or the same with the other things that we mentioned. So the person cannot begin to perform the ghusl until, whilst one of the aforementioned issues is still going on, until he or she has stopped it or is free from it. The author then went on to mention the second, intention, the third, Islam, the fourth, aql, sanity, the fifth, discernment, tamyiz, the sixth, purifying, tahur, and permissible water. And we have spoken about the point of permissibility. We said that the correct view is that permissibility is not a condition for the validity of wudu or ghusl. And then the 7th point that he mentions here is removing that which prevents water from reaching the skin. So with regards to intention, Islam, sanity, discernment, the use of purifying and permissible water, and removing that which prevents the water from reaching the skin, we have spoken about this already. In which section? Silence is scary. The question, that's mushkila. If you don't know the question, I'm telling you. The section of wudu. So these conditions from number 2 to number 7, we have spoken about them previously in the section of wudu. So you can go back and see what we mentioned there. The 4th point that the author mentions, the 4th out of the 5 main points. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. The 4th out of the 5 main points is the obligation, the wajib of ghusl. And the obligation, as the author mentions, is 1. That being mentioning the basmalah, or rather saying Bismillah, so the tasmiyah, when a person remembers this. And the more correct view, as we mentioned when we spoke about this under the topic of wudu, is that it is mustahab and not obligatory, it's not wajib. And this is stronger than the statement of it being merely permissible, and Allah knows best, as Shaykh Salih mentions. The fifth major point that the author mentioned is the fard or the furud of the essential components of ghusl, and it is one. And that is that the individual spreads the water over his whole body. What must the person do in order for the wudu, for the ghusl, that is essential for that ghusl to be valid, as that is part of the ghusl. So conditions are descriptions that have to be there for that thing to be valid, but they're outside of that thing. Yeah. Whereas the furud, the essential components are, or in this case it's only one, it's part of the thing in and of itself. So what is that one thing that has to be in place for ghusl to be valid? And that is that the individual spreads the water over his whole body, his or her whole body. And that includes the inside of the mouth and the nose. So when we say that water must reach the whole body, that includes the inside of the mouth, that the person washes the mouth and puts water into his or her nostrils. So the person must do all of that, and the author then finishes by mentioning, and dhan, that is a dha, dhan with a dha fatha noon with a shadda, is sufficient in isbagh. Dhan means that you most likely think. What does that mean? So when a person does ghusl, they don't have to check with a mirror and check that every part of their body has water has touched it. But you have to be most likely certain that it has happened. I.e., when you wash properly every part of your body, okay, armpit, everywhere, you let water reach it, under the hair and so forth. And you're most likely sure that it's happened. But you don't have to sit and check every inch of your body. Understood?
So what is dhan then?
Dhan is that the person is most likely in his mind that it has occurred. Highly likely or most likely that he has achieved it. I.e., he's taken the care that he needs to take in order to make the water reach the body. Understood? Okay. So that's the end of the section on ghusl. Now, I have some questions for you, inshallah ta'ala. So take a minute to look at your notes from the previous lessons. I'm going to ask you some questions. Where are you going? Your notes? Okay, I thought you were trying to run home. Okay. First question. How many sections have we covered so far? 5? Okay, name the first section. Introduction doesn't count. Huh? The first section of the book. There was no section called definition. Yes? No? Okay. Sami? Sami, big Sami, not small Sami. Yes, Sami? طيب, the first section, what was it called? Good. Fasl al-istitaba. Second section, Saim? Fasl fi siwak wa ghayri. We don't want to pick people that only have S-A-I-M in their name. Sami or Saim. And yes, number 3? Fasl fil wudu. Number 4. Today is Fasl Ghusul. That's number 5. But what's number 4? Fasl al-mash ala al-khuffayn. Okay, can we talk about that in English now? So number 1. Good. So etiquettes of the bathroom, we could say, or purifying oneself or making oneself clean. Good. Number 2. What was it in Arabic? And then we try translating in English. Is it use of miswak?
Pardon?
Was it the use of the miswak? Saim? Number 2.
Section of siwak and
Oh, good. The use of the miswak, and other than that. Number 3. Wudu. Number 4. Mash ala al-khuffayn. What is in English? Wiping over the socks. Number 5. Ghusul. Okay. What did we mention istitaba is? What was the definition of istitaba? You can look at your notes, you don't have to do it from memory. But we need to answer quickly because our bedtimes are approaching. If people at home on the TV and on their PlayStation, Nintendo, their bedtime is late. But if they're in class, say, oh, I have to go sleep soon. Huh? It's true or not? Yes?
Removal of filth with water or stone.
Good. So the removal of filth with water, or its ruling with stones or the like. Okay. Istinja, how many ways is it used? 2. Okay. What are the 2 ways?
Using water.
Okay. So it's a specific way, which means the use of water to remove the filth.
The second way is using water and the stone.
Good. So the second is a general way, which can incorporate the water or incorporate the stone. Okay. What did we say the definition of wudu is? Pardon? You don't have notes on it? It's in your other book. You have a different book for each class. It's not wiping over the 4 limbs. Yes?
It's the usage of water,
Usage of water.
which is wiped over the 4 limbs in a known manner.
You were going so smoothly, mashallah, tabarak. It was so nice. And then you said wipe. You follow your brother and you said wipe. Because Allah, when He told us, did He say wipe your hands, He said wipe one place. So the use of water on the 4 limbs in a way which is known. Yeah. So it includes, if you say wiping, then you're leaving out washing. If you say washing, you're leaving out the wiping. So it's the usage of water. Yeah. Okay. What are the things that break the wudu? How many things did we mention break the wudu? 23? 8. I thought someone said 23. Okay, what are the 8 things?
Stopping whatever makes it obligatory.
No, that doesn't break your wudu. You stopping what makes it obligatory doesn't break the wudu. Yes, go ahead.
Everything comes out of 2 private parts.
Excellent. Anything that comes out of the 2 private parts, number 1. Number 2, what breaks the wudu? You have to know, because even if you don't know the list, you have to know. Yes? Nareed Jawhab. Yes, Mu'adh? Sleeping, losing consciousness. Good. If you become unconscious, your wudu's gone. Yes? Oh, vomiting. Did we agree on vomiting? What did that come under? There was a name that it came under. It wasn't just vomiting. Yes? Anything else?
If the person leaves Islam,
Leaving Islam. Anything else?
Washing of the dead.
Washing the dead body, and that means the person that's pouring the water, that's actually touching them. Good. Yes? That doesn't break wudu, that breaks ghusul. That's what we covered today. So it breaks wudu and ghusl. It's higher up. Good.
The eating of camel meat.
Eating camel meat. If you get a camel burger. Yes. Birth is ghusl, not wudu. Apostasy. Okay. Yes. That will also take ghusl out. Yes. That's what vomit comes under. Scholars will mention anything that comes out of the body which is filth and it comes out a lot. And we said the more correct view is that does not break the wudu unless it is urine or stool that comes out of the body. Yeah? Okay. What is muwalah? I told you guys you need to keep an itinerary or a list of Arabic terms. What is muwalah when we spoke about wudu? When we spoke about wudu.
The person doesn't delay between the steps of wudu, that one part is dry.
Good. So is that the person does not delay in between the steps of wudu to the extent that either one part becomes dry that you already washed, or we said the correct view is that in the custom. So when you see the person, he's not, if you ask him what's he doing, it doesn't look like he's doing something else. So we gave the example, if someone's making wudu in the wudu area and someone comes to you and says, where's the toilet? And you just say, oh, the toilet is just upstairs. You go and show him quickly, like you point from there, then it doesn't, that is not broken your muwalah. But if someone says, can you come and help me to carry something? So you washed your face, you're about to do your feet, and someone says, can you come help me to do something? You go outside, you help him for 5 minutes and everything, then you come back, you can't wash your feet and say, I'm done it. You'd have to start again because you've broken that kind of act of making wudu. Okay, what was another key component of wudu? Okay, intention. What was a fard of wudu? Let me be more clear. Intention, we said condition, but the fard, the furud of wudu, 6. Okay, so we mentioned one, muwala. Another one. Okay, the face.
So the mouth and the nose.
Pardon?
The mouth and the nose.
Face includes the mouth and nose. Arms. Hands up to the elbows. Yeah. Yes. Good. So we had, what other parts did we have? Wiping the head, washing the feet. Then we had sequence. So it has to be done in an order. What did we say about the sequence? We said something there. Sequence of what? Of the limbs one after the other, not the limbs in themselves. So it is recommended to wash the right before the left. But if a person washes the left and then washes the right, is his wudu still valid? Yes. So the sequence here in between each other, i.e. the left and right arm and so forth, that does not break the wudu. But if he was to wash his feet before he washed his hands, would that be valid? No, because he has broken the sequence. That is a fard, that is a essential component. Now, you need to ask each other these questions like this. Yeah? For each class, you need to ask each other. Find 1 or 2 persons. Ideally, the smaller it is, the better. And you ask. I don't want to say there's no point, but you don't want to learn something and then you forget it. It's better you learn something small and you revise. And then you will see that when it sticks in your mind, you will be better than somebody who read 10 books and he forgot all of them. If you forget what you learn, can you practice it? No. So it's better you learn something that is concise and short and you know it well, than you learn something that is long and big and you say, oh, I read 500 pages, mashallah. And after a month I ask you, what do you remember? You can't remember nothing. Then it's as if you've forgotten all those 500 pages. So it's better you learn something that's 20 pages in one subject, another subject 20 pages, another subject 10 pages, another subject 50 pages, and then you will grow. But if you go and you say, I'm going to learn this subject, and your first book is 500 pages, 99% sure you will not remember anything after a couple of months. And then you won't be able to practice it because you're not going to remember it. So try to benefit from these. I'm trying to make the classes as short as possible. I know some of you, when you hear there's a class, you say, oh, that class is long, because you're thinking what happened in the summer when we do 4 hours. So we're trying to make this 1 hour, 35 minutes to make it easier. Yes? But you have to put effort. Ask yourself, you know, when some people, they say, I'm sick, and they play Xbox. Yeah? 4 hours goes like this, isn't it? Yes or no? No, it's not him. Right? No, don't mention names. Yeah? Some people play on laptops. Yeah? Are you looking around, huh? Why is it that time when we're on YouTube, whatever, it goes quick? Isn't it? Before you know it, it's already 10 o'clock and your mom or your dad is saying, it's bedtime. They say, but I only spent half an hour. But when it comes to class, oh, 1 hour is too long. I'm tired. I went to football today. I can't do it. Huh? This is your deen. If you don't learn your deen, no one else is going to learn it for you. Islam, learning your deen, is the best thing you can do. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, the best of you, and when he said you, he was talking about this whole ummah, the companions and those that come after them, is he who learns the Quran and teaches it. Is not he who is the best striker, is not he who is the programmer, he's got the latest mouse and Alienware laptop and he's shooting people on whatever games they're playing. Is not the person who is on Nintendo Switch and he's jumping from this building and he's got the highest score. Is not the person who's driving the best car. Is not the person who is whatever. The best of you is he who learns the Quran and teaches it. So now, those of you who are still young, most of us inshallah, even us, still young, isn't it, uncle? Yeah? Anyway. We have to put the effort, put time, yes? Organize your time, but don't let your time go to waste. That you look back and you say, oh, last week what did I do? I hardly memorized any Quran, I memorized only 1 page or half page. I didn't go to any class. But if you look at your, now they have those things, I don't know what it's called, where it tells you how many hours you spent on the phone and tells you which apps you're on, yes? Health, I don't know, digital health or whatever. When you look at those, oh, you spent overtime on WhatsApp, overtime on Snapchat, overtime on Football Dream or whatever it is, Dream Team or whatever. Yeah? What's that going to benefit you in Yawm al-Qiyamah? Even if it's not a sin, even if, I'm not saying it's not a sin. Sometimes some of the games are sin. You're going to get a bad deed for it. But even if it's not a bad deed, you will regret that you wasted the time. How many levels are there in Jannah? Do you know? Jannah, is it all one place or is different levels? Okay, what's the difference? Huh? No. If we don't know paradise, we're not going to run for it. If we don't know paradise, if someone says to you, I got a prize for you if you finish something, you're going to think, maybe the prize is not even worth it. But if he says to you, £100, just memorize this 1 page, I'll give you £100. You're going to be more excited. Maybe £100 for you, mashallah, is not much, but the young ones, yeah? If someone says, I'll give you £1 million, you're going to be excited. So Allah told us about Jannah. We have to know, if you tell me Jannah is 7 levels, you're thinking about the skies. Yes? We're talking about Jannah. What's the difference in the different levels? How many levels are there? What is inside there? What do you do? We have to take time to learn. Allah knows best, but the levels of Jannah, when a person dies, and some people will go to Jannah, may Allah make us from them, and some people will go to Jahannam, to the hellfire. May Allah protect us and our families from that. When a person goes to Jannah, the angels are going to say to him, read and rise. Like you used to read in the dunya. i.e., you're going to read Quran. Okay? So some scholars, they say that the levels of Jannah will be the same level as the ayat of the Quran. The more Quran you know, the higher you go. If you just know Juz Amma, Miskeen, you're going to miss out. If you know 10 Juz, alhamdulillah, you're getting somewhere. If you know the whole Quran, you're going to go where? In the middle or the highest part? The highest part. So which part do you want to go? The highest part. Do you want to go to the highest? Yes or no? You don't look sure. Yes? Say yes then. Yes? So we have to take time. If you memorize 1 page a week, we spoke about this. It's not hard, 1 page a week. But if you do it, less than 10 years you get Quran. It's not hard to do a page a week. If you focus, But if you don't focus, you say, one day I'm going to go here, another day I'm going to go there, another day I'm doing this, today I'm going football, tomorrow I'm going cricket, Wednesday I'm going rugby, Thursday I'm going madriyesh. You're going everywhere, and then you don't catch anything. So you have to have your priorities right. Inshallah ta'ala, next week we'll have the next section, and we may do the class a bit longer, so that we can finish before Ramadan. Also, we'll have some classes for Ramadan preparation. So there will be some classes that you should, some classes that you should try to attend, so that you can remind yourself of the rules of Ramadan, and you can also prepare spiritually for Ramadan. Because we don't want to be people that we just follow the outside rules, but the inside rules, we don't apply them. As Muslims, we have to be balanced between both. We have to apply the outside rules of Islam, and we also have to apply the inside rules. Ma'i? Alhamdulillah. We stop there. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Barakallahu feek.